Have you ever felt like frustration has taken control of your life? Maybe it's a rude coworker, a family argument, or that never-ending traffic jam that makes your blood boil. I get it, I've been there too. 1 year ago, when I was still at the old address, I was tired of dealing with my next-door neighbor. She was always a source of stress. She complained about everything, my plants, my music, even the sound of my shoes on the stairs. But the moment that pushed me over the edge, one day, I caught her stealing a package from my doorstep. I was furious. My mind raced. How could someone do this? Every time I saw her after that, my heart pounded. It felt like stepping onto a battlefield, and I was always bracing for another fight. The frustration didn't just sit there, it festered. It distracted me at work. It lingered when I tried to relax. But here's the truth. Fighting frustration with anger only made me lose more of my peace. I realized I was giving her too much power over my mind, and I knew I had to find another way. In this video, I'm going to share 7 life-changing Stoic practices that helped me and can help you handle frustration like a master. Whether it's people testing your patience or situations you can't control, these steps will equip you with the tools to stay calm and strong. If you're tired of frustration running your life, stick with me until the end. I promise these tools will give you the clarity and calm you've been looking for. And if you find value in this video, forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on more transformative insights from Stoic Narratives Official. Let's dive in. 1. Recognize and accept. Frustration often hits hardest when we feel powerless. It's the traffic jam that delays us, the rude neighbor who tests our patience, or the unexpected events that throw our plans off course. We feel trapped, helpless, and angry. But here's the hard truth. Most of what frustrates us lies outside our control. Stoicism teaches us that freedom begins when we accept what we can't control and focus on what we can. Remember my neighbor? After catching my neighbor red-handed with my package, I spent days fuming. I replayed the moment in my head over and over. I imagined all the ways I could confront her, embarrass her, or even report her. Every time I saw her face, my chest tightened. The frustration was consuming me. I lost focus at work, my conversations were short with loved ones, and worst of all, I wasn't sleeping well. I was a prisoner of my anger. Then one night, I sat alone on my couch and thought, why am I letting her win? I couldn't control her behavior. I couldn't force her to change, but I could control how I responded to her actions. So I did what any wise Stoic would do. I took a deep breath and paused. I reminded myself of the dichotomy of control. I can't control other people's choices. I can control my thoughts, my actions, and my emotions. The next time I saw her, I didn't feel that familiar anger rise. I didn't avoid her or brace myself for war. Instead, I smiled calmly and deliberately. She looked surprised, maybe even a little uncomfortable. But the victory was mine. I had reclaimed my peace. Here's the lesson. When frustration strikes, step back and ask yourself a simple question. Is this within my control? If the answer is no, let it go. Release it like a stone you've been carrying for far too long. Imagine that stone sinking to the bottom of a still, quiet lake. If the situation is within your control, focus on action, not anger. Break the problem into steps. Find solutions, no matter how small, and take the first step forward. Let's break it down into something actionable. Pause and breathe. In a moment of frustration, take a slow, deep breath. Interrupt your emotional reaction. Identify what's yours to control. Is it someone else's actions? Let it go. Is it your response? Own it. Act wisely. If you can't fix the situation, fix your perspective. Focus your energy on what you can influence. Imagine the freedom of releasing all those frustrations you've carried for years, like traffic, rude people, or unpredictable events. The moment you stop fighting what you can't control, frustration loses its grip on you. You stand taller. You feel lighter. True strength, as the Stoics teach us, comes not from conquering others, but from mastering ourselves. So the next time life throws something unfair or irritating your way, smile. Be calm, accept it, master your reaction, and you've already won. 2. Focus on the present. Mindfulness and Memento Mori. Worrying about the future is like running a race that has no finish line. You keep running, faster and harder, but you never get anywhere. In moments of anxiety, our mind pulls us away from the only thing we truly own, the present moment. Stoicism teaches us this simple but powerful truth. Life happens now, and most of our frustrations come from living anywhere but the present. After leaving my old neighbor and moving into a new house, I thought I'd find peace. But instead, I carried my worries with me. What if the new neighbors were just as bad? What if I ended up angry and stressed again? My mind was working overtime, spinning stories of problems that didn't even exist yet. I lay awake at night, staring at the ceiling, imagining conflicts that hadn't happened. It was exhausting. Then one evening, as I sat on my porch watching the sun dip below the trees, I noticed something. The world was quiet. No yelling, no complaints, no drama. It was calm, and I was too wrapped up in my worries to enjoy it. I realized my anxiety wasn't coming from reality. It was coming from my own mind. I was fighting ghosts of the past and fears of the future, while the present moment, the only one that mattered, slipped away unnoticed. The Stoics had a word for this: Memento Mori. Remember that you will die. At first it sounds dark, but it isn't. It's a reminder that time is limited. Every moment you waste worrying about something that may or may not happen is a moment of life you can't get back. Instead of worrying, I chose to do what I could control. I took a deep breath, looked at the stillness around me, and decided to focus on the now. I couldn't predict whether my new neighbors would be saints or troublemakers, but I could control my response. And at that moment, they weren't bothering me. They weren't doing anything at all. My worry was unnecessary. Here's the lesson. When you find yourself stuck in thoughts about the future, bring yourself back to the present. The now is all you have. Here's how to practice this. Notice your breath. Focus on slow, deep breathing. Inhale peace, exhale tension. Your breath anchors you to the moment. Observe your surroundings. Look around. Notice the details. The color of the sky, the rustle of leaves, the sound of your footsteps. This simple act quiets the noise in your mind. Detach from the unknown. Remind yourself, worry changes nothing. Whether things go well or badly, you'll deal with it when the time comes. Most of the things we fear never happen, and even when they do, they're often not as bad as we imagined. By focusing on the present, you reclaim peace. So stop letting your mind drag you into the future. Take a deep breath, open your eyes, and step into the now. Because right here in this moment, life is waiting for you. 3. Practice acceptance. Whatever happens, happens. Life often feels like an unpredictable storm. Plans get disrupted, events don't align with expectations, and frustration builds. But Stoicism teaches us this: whatever happens, happens. You can't control life's chaos, but you can control how you respond to it. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up. It means choosing peace over resistance. Let me share a story from my past. My house wasn't far from my workplace, just a few miles away. In theory, it should have been a quick drive. But every day, without fail, traffic turned that short distance into a long, grinding battle. Some mornings I'd hit the road early, thinking I could outsmart the jam. It didn't work. On other days, I'd leave later, hoping the roads would clear. That didn't work either. The traffic was inconsistent and relentless. Some days it would take me an hour to get to work. Other days, even longer. Sitting in my car, watching the minutes tick by, I could feel the frustration bubbling up. The red lights seemed endless. I'd grip the steering wheel tighter. I'd curse under my breath. Why me? I'd think, why does this always happen? The problem wasn't the traffic, it was my mindset. I was fighting something I couldn't control, and it was exhausting. The more I resisted, the more frustrated I became. I was letting the traffic jam rob me of my peace, my energy, and my entire morning. Then one day, I had a realization. The traffic wasn't going to change. I couldn't control it. But what I could control was how I spent that time. I accepted the reality. Traffic was part of my commute, whether I liked it or not. Fighting it was like trying to push against a mountain. It got me nowhere. From that day on, I made a change. I started using that time intentionally. Instead of staring at the bumper in front of me with resentment, I turned my car into a place of calm. I listened to audiobooks that inspired me. I played Stoic lectures that grounded me. Sometimes I just turned off the noise and let myself breathe. The traffic didn't change, but I did. The frustration melted away, replaced by a sense of peace. Acceptance doesn't mean you're okay with every inconvenience. It means you stop wasting energy fighting what you can't control. If you find yourself in a similar situation, whether it's traffic, delays, or unexpected setbacks. Try this. Pause and acknowledge. Recognize the situation for what it is. Don't resist. Shift your focus. Ask yourself, how can I make this time productive or meaningful? Listen to music, reflect, or enjoy the quiet. Reframe the moment. Instead of thinking, why is this happening to me? Ask, what can I gain from this? When you accept what's happening and redirect your focus, you reclaim your power. Life stops feeling like an endless fight. You find peace, even in the chaos. The traffic never changed, but my mindset did. And that small shift turned frustration into an opportunity to learn, grow, and find calm in the most unexpected places. 4. Focus on action. Action is key. Frustration often thrives in moments of inaction. When we feel stuck, helpless, or overwhelmed, it's because we're doing nothing but letting the problem fester in our minds. But Stoicism teaches us this: take action. Small, deliberate steps, because even the tiniest progress can restore control and dissolve frustration. After months of battling traffic jams, I finally made a decision. Moving closer to my company wasn't an option, but I could find a place with clearer roads, fewer delays, and better routes. It wasn't perfect. It didn't cut my commute in half, but it gave me something invaluable: time. Time to focus on myself, to read, reflect, and unwind. At first, I hesitated. Would it really make a difference? What if I was just trading one set of problems for another? That's the trap of inaction. It keeps you circling the same frustrations, afraid to make a move. But the longer I stayed where I was, the more I realized the problem wasn't just the traffic. It was my reluctance to act. So I made the leap. I packed my things, moved to my current location, and embraced the change. The result? My commute became smoother and predictable. I wasn't just saving time, I was reclaiming my peace. No longer was I sitting in traffic, stewing in anger, or counting wasted minutes. Instead, I now use that extra time to enjoy a quiet morning coffee, reflect on my day, or simply breathe before the workday begins. Here's the truth: frustration doesn't disappear on its own. It lingers when you stand still, letting your mind spiral into complaints and what-ifs. Action is the antidote. When you take control of the smallest step forward, you disrupt that spiral. You create momentum. If you're feeling stuck or frustrated, ask yourself these questions. What's one thing I can do right now to change this? What small action will make this situation better, even by 1%? Let's break this into something practical. Imagine you're overwhelmed by a project at work. You're staring at your screen, paralyzed. Instead of letting frustration win, break the problem down. What's the first, smallest task you can complete? Write it down, do it, then move to the next step. Or maybe you're frustrated with your daily routine. Endless chores, wasted time, no peace. Take action. Rearrange your schedule, set priorities, and carve out time for what matters. You don't need to fix everything in one day, you just need to start. The Stoics remind us that action gives us power. When we focus on what we can do, no matter how small, we stop being victims of our circumstances. We regain control, rebuild confidence, and restore our calm. So take the step. Move, change, or start fresh if you need to, because frustration only wins when you do nothing. Action isn't just the cure, it's the key to growth, clarity, and inner peace. 5. Change your inner language, thoughts, and actions. Frustration isn't always about what happens to us. Often, it's the story we tell ourselves about the situation. Your inner dialogue, the words you repeat in your mind, can either fuel your anger or set you free. Stoicism teaches us that our thoughts shape our emotions, and by changing our thoughts, we change our reality. Let's return to my story. After I accepted that I couldn't control my neighbor's behavior, I found temporary relief, but the frustration wasn't entirely gone. Every time I saw her, a voice in my head would whisper, "What if she tries something again? Why is this happening to me? I don't deserve this." These thoughts played on repeat, like a broken record, fueling my irritation. One afternoon, I found myself pacing in my living room, angry over something small. She had left garbage near the shared hallway. I stopped and thought, why am I still letting her live rent-free in my mind? My neighbor wasn't there anymore. The moment had passed, but my inner voice kept the conflict alive. That's when I realized I had a choice. I couldn't control what she did, but I could control the story I told myself. Instead of thinking, why me? I changed the narrative. I told myself, this is a test of my patience, a chance to practice calm. Instead of anger, I reframe the experience as an opportunity to grow. Here's what I learned. Our thoughts create our emotions. When you tell yourself a negative story, one filled with blame, resentment, or victimhood, you trap yourself in frustration. But when you change your inner language, you create a different outcome. If you find yourself in a similar situation, here's what you can do. Pause and listen to your thoughts. When frustration hits, stop and notice the words running through your mind. Are you feeding anger or finding peace? Challenge negative narratives. Ask yourself, is this thought helping me or hurting me? If it's hurting you, reframe it. Turn "why is this happening to me" into "what can I learn from this?" Speak to yourself like a friend. Imagine someone you care about facing the same problem. What would you say to them? Use those same kind, reassuring words for yourself. For example, let's say you're stuck in traffic. Instead of thinking, "this is a waste of time," tell yourself, "I can use this time to reflect, learn, or enjoy some peace." Your circumstances don't change, but the experience does, because your mindset shifts. The Stoics remind us that external events are neutral. It's our judgment that gives them power. By changing your thoughts, you take back control. You stop reacting and start responding wisely. Remember this, frustration often starts in the mind, and that's exactly where it can end. Choose words that empower you, and you'll find that the chaos around you loses its hold. In the end, mastering your inner language isn't just about reducing frustration. It's about creating a life of clarity, peace, and emotional strength. 6. Find meaning in difficulty. Amor fati. Love your fate. Life rarely goes according to plan. Challenges appear when you least expect them. Job loss, a failed project, or someone betraying your trust. In those moments, frustration feels natural, but the Stoics offer a different perspective. Instead of resisting life's hardships, embrace them. Amor fati means love your fate. It's the idea that everything, good or bad, is a necessary part of your growth. Imagine this scenario. You work hard for a promotion, put in extra hours, and deliver your best performance. But when the decision comes, someone else gets the job. You feel disappointment, maybe even anger. Why not me? I deserved it. At this point, most people would react in two ways. 1, they stew in bitterness, blaming the boss, the system, or the person who got promoted. 2, they give up, convinced that effort doesn't matter. But both reactions miss a crucial lesson: the opportunity hidden within the challenge. A Stoic would look at this situation differently. Instead of asking, "why did this happen to me?" they would ask, "what can I learn from this?" Perhaps this setback is a push to improve your skills. Maybe it's a chance to explore another path, or reflect on what truly matters. Instead of resisting reality, they would lean into it and turn it into a stepping stone for growth. Here's the Stoic lesson. Life isn't happening to you, it's happening for you. Every difficulty, no matter how unfair it seems, carries a lesson. When you learn to love your fate, especially the hard parts, you transform frustration into opportunity. So, how do you practice amor fati in your daily life? Accept what happens fully. When life throws you a challenge, don't resist it. Take a deep breath and say, "this is happening for a reason." Even if you don't see it now, trust that it serves a purpose. Find the lesson. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this moment? Did the challenge teach you resilience? Did it push you to improve or look for new opportunities? Reframe setbacks as opportunities. Every difficulty is a test, a chance to become stronger, smarter, or wiser. When you face hardship, see it as training. The Stoics viewed obstacles as tools to shape their character. For example, let's say you've been working on a major project, and it falls apart at the last moment. Instead of giving in to frustration, step back and find the opportunity. Maybe it's time to revisit your approach or collaborate with someone better suited for the task. By reframing the failure as a chance to grow, you reclaim control over the narrative. Amor fati isn't about denying pain or ignoring setbacks. It's about accepting life as it comes and seeing every challenge as part of your story. The next time frustration knocks on your door, welcome it. Say, "this is my moment to grow. This is my chance to get better." Because when you learn to love your fate, even the hardest days become meaningful. You stop seeing life as an enemy and start seeing it as your greatest teacher. 7. Build healthy relationships. The role of community. Frustration often isolates us. When life feels overwhelming, we tend to pull back, shutting ourselves off from the people who care about us most. But the truth is, we're not meant to face struggles alone. Stoicism teaches that relationships are a source of strength. The community provides clarity, comfort, and perspective when we're caught in life's storms. After I moved to my new place and took action to improve my mornings, something unexpected happened. I had time. Real, precious time. For the first time in years, I wasn't rushing through the door, cursing the traffic, or stewing in frustration. That extra time became a gift, and I decided to use it wisely. Instead of scrolling through my phone or worrying about the day ahead, I started reaching out, calling my family, checking in on friends, reconnecting with people I'd lost touch with. It was a simple habit, but it made all the difference. Those short conversations, sometimes 5 minutes, sometimes 20, reminded me of what mattered. My frustrations, which once seemed so heavy, began to lose their power. I realized I wasn't alone. The people I loved were there to listen, offer advice, or sometimes just make me laugh. Here's the lesson I learned. Frustration grows in silence, but it shrinks when shared. When you carry it alone, it feels heavier. But when you lean on others, they help you see the bigger picture. A kind word, a fresh perspective, or a shared story can shift how you feel about your situation. The Stoics understood the importance of relationships. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, often reminded himself to remain kind, patient, and open to others, no matter how difficult life got. He believed that humans are interconnected and that our strength comes from supporting one another. If you find yourself overwhelmed, here's how to apply this principle. Reach out. Don't wait for others to call. Take the first step. Send a message, make a call, or invite someone for coffee. Even a short conversation can lighten the load. Share your struggles. You don't have to carry everything on your own. Be honest with trusted friends or family. Say, I've been dealing with this, and it's been tough. You'd be surprised how many people understand or have advice to share. Listen and support others. Healthy relationships are a two-way street. Sometimes, listening to someone else's challenges helps you see your own frustrations in a new light. You realize you're not alone. When you build strong connections, you develop a foundation of resilience. On days when frustration feels unbearable, your community becomes your anchor. They remind you that no storm lasts forever, and that you have the strength to get through it. Imagine you're facing a tough week at work. Deadlines, misunderstandings, maybe a rude boss. Instead of retreating into silence, talk to a close friend. Vent if you need to, then listen to their perspective. Suddenly, what felt like an unfixable problem became manageable. The Stoic path to peace isn't about isolating yourself, it's about building relationships that make you stronger. Frustration is part of life, but you don't have to face it alone. Lean on the people you trust, be there for them in return, and you'll find that connection softens life's hardest edges. Sometimes, the most powerful antidote to frustration isn't solving the problem. It's simply knowing someone else is walking beside you. Frustration is part of life, but it doesn't have to control you. The wisdom of Stoicism reminds us that peace comes not from changing the world around us, but from mastering how we respond to it. We've explored 7 powerful Stoic practices: recognizing what you can control, focusing on the present, practicing acceptance, taking action, changing your inner language, finding meaning in difficulty, and building healthy relationships. Each of these steps offers you a path, a way to face life's chaos with calm, resilience, and clarity. But knowing is not enough. Stoicism is about practice. Each day, life will test you. The traffic jams, unexpected setbacks, or difficult people will come. When they do, pause. Take a breath. Ask yourself, is this within my control? Then act with wisdom. Redirect your energy toward what you can influence. Remember, frustration loses its power when you focus on what matters. Start small. Try one practice today. Focus on being present, reframe a challenge, or call a friend to reconnect. Over time, these habits will reshape the way you experience the world. Frustration will no longer feel like an unstoppable force. Instead, it will become an opportunity, a chance to grow stronger, calmer, and wiser. If this video has inspired you, let me know. Share your story in the comments below. What challenges are you facing, and which of these practices will you try first? And if you found value here, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to Stoic Narratives Official. Together, let's continue to learn, grow, and practice these timeless lessons. Remember, you don't have to be perfect, you just have to begin. One step at a time, frustration will fade, and peace will take its place.